started making a charcoal poultice, and then I thought maybe I should show everybody that if anybody wants to know about making a charcoal poultice. So tried to put everything where they could see it. A charcoal poultice is used, I use activated charcoal, which I do buy. If you can't afford activated charcoal, you can take a piece of bread, toast it to within an inch of its life. I mean, just toast it till it gets black. And if you can get it black all the way through, then you just crumble that up and you got charcoal. If you can't, then scrape off the charcoal, toast it again, scrape that off, toast it again, such as that. Activated charcoal is like that toasted charcoal, but on steroids. It's just an amazing, it's an amazing thing to use. If you ever use it, you'll be shocked at how fast it works. Activated charcoal is used to draw toxins out, and it also draws on. It can draw pain out of things. It can do a lot of different. It can draw infections out. It can do a lot of different things of drawing. Just think of it as drawing out what you don't want. It can be taken internally. Your body does not digest charcoal, so it will just simply go in one end, absorb all the toxins, everything like that in your system, and come out the other end. If you're on any kind of medication, you don't want to be taking this with it, or you want to at least take the medication 1 to 2 hours before you take your activated charcoal, because it will draw out the medication and take that out with it. And basically then it comes out the other end as feces, or normal terms there, it comes out as poop. And your poop will be black, and that's probably one of the major drawbacks of it. It kind of freaks people out when all of a sudden their stool comes out and it's very, very dark or black. And that's because your body does not absorb the charcoal whatsoever. It could eat the whole bag. It's not going to make you sick. It's not going to do anything. It's just going to go straight through your system. And it's going to strip your system of a lot of things, including some of the vitamins and minerals that you may want in your system. But if you're trying to get rid of toxins out of your system, you can always replace those vitamins and minerals. It doesn't seem to strip out like life. So like if you have a probiotic in you of some sort, like a kefir or kombucha, yogurt, anything on that order, it doesn't seem to strip that out at all. So that's not a problem. What I use it for internally is basically any kind of poison. If you've overeaten, if you have diarrhea. If you have diarrhea, first of all, allow your body at least 12 hours with the diarrhea. I know that sounds disgusting and horrible, but diarrhea is your body's way of saying, get this crap out of me. Literally. It's just like, get out, get out, get out, get out. And it's trying to shove itself out as fast as possible. Drink plenty of fluids during that 12 hours because you don't want to get dehydrated. But then if you continue to have the diarrhea, I reach for activated charcoal right off the bat. Any kind of poisons, even people a lot of times will be like, well, you know, poisons are bad. And this is, most of the food that you will eat in your life contains some kind of toxins. Most of our bodies can handle it. That's why we have kidneys and livers, is to filter those toxins out. But every now and again, somebody might be a little bit more sensitive to maybe the toxins in tomatoes or the toxin in corn, and toxins in wheat. And their bodies can't handle it. And so by taking the activated charcoal, it gets rid of those toxins and gets them out. Doesn't mean that they're bad and they're going to kill you. It just makes you uncomfortable. Let's see. Poisons. I have a half-gallon jug of this mixed up. Basically what I do is I take about a 1/4 cup of the activated charcoal, put it into a half-gallon mason jar, and then very slowly add water to it. Filtered water or well water, whatever. Just don't use chlorinated water. Not because it interacts, but because if you're trying to heal yourself up, the last thing you want to do is put chlorine into you. Some people are very sensitive to that. So, and then you just very slowly fill it up, put the cap on, shake it, and then let it set so that all the charcoal goes to the bottom. You're going to have a gray slurry left of charcoal water, and I just leave that sitting in the cupboard all the time. This stuff can't go bad. If it gets wet, it's going to turn into a clump, but it can't go bad. So it's not that's not a, you can leave it sitting in your cupboard, that slurry, indefinitely, and just use it anytime that, well, anytime really that you're not, you got a little bit of an upset stomach or a major upset stomach. If you've been drinking a lot, it will help absorb the alcohol in your system. In fact, that was something that a lot of people in Roman times they used to do, is people would get drunk and then they would drink charcoal slurries so that it would take a good chunk of the alcohol out of their system so they could drink some more because they would have these massive 3-day long parties where you were to drink for 3 days or 10 days or whatever their parties were. But if you have a friend that is, overindulged, and suddenly you're left with this person who's so drunk you're actually scared for their life, get them some, reach into that cupboard, grab them a glass of the slurry and have them drink it. Poisons. If you got somebody or your dog or your kid or yourself and you ate something and you're worried about it, grab a bottle of water, grab a bottle, pour some of that slurry in and rush yourself to the hospital, or rush your kids to the hospital, rush your dog to the vet, but be drinking that slurry the whole way there, because you're already getting that poison absorbed into the activated charcoal. And the cool thing about it is, say you for some odd reason drink that entire half gallon of stuff, which if you are sick, you should be drinking 8 ounces of it every couple hours. You should just basically have that that glass of the slurry next to you and be sipping it all the time. But you'll get down and you'll have now just the wet charcoal in the bottom. Fill it back up with water. As long as there's charcoal in there, and then shake it, let it settle, and you've got your slurry again. As long as there's charcoal in there, you can keep reusing it, reusing it, reusing it until, of course, there's no charcoal, and then you need another quarter of a cup. Let's see what else. I had I won't say who it is, but I had somebody that I know that gave her 4-year-old child a big, huge 20-ounce thing of Mountain Dew. It was horrible. And the child literally had caffeine poisoning. And first thing we did was shove a ton of this into him, and then we just walked that kid. It took 6 of us to walk that caffeine out of the kid, but the slurry helped absorb the caffeine and get rid of it. Some other people can't handle caffeine at all. I have a very low tolerance to caffeine, so I don't drink a lot of it. And if you do and you find yourself getting that jittery, or you can't think, or some people get it to the point where it thins their blood out so much that they actually start bleeding from the anus, from the mouth, from the eyes, and I've actually seen people that have had this. This will get in and start absorbing that caffeine. So great for internal use. They also sell in capsules, which is a lot easier to take. So if you can get that in like most health food stores. You can buy it in bulk in most health food stores, and in capsules in most health food stores. But it also draws out toxins through the skin, and that's what we're going to do here. Is we're making a plaster, a charcoal plaster for somebody. Actually, I'm making it so she can take it home with her. And so what our main ingredients, we actually have 4. We have the charcoal, and we have flaxseed. Now we want to start with whole flaxseed, because if you start with ground flaxseed, well, you should always have all your seeds stored in as whole as possible. And if you start with ground flaxseed, the oils in them may have already gone rancid, and that's not what you want. So you start with whole ones. You can either grind it in a mortar and pestle. I like to do it by hand, because then I can judge it a little better, because I really don't have a recipe. I just kind of put it together till it looks good. But if you want, you can also put the flaxseed through a food processor, which is much, much easier, and then put it into a bowl and mix your charcoal in. Remember, you are working with charcoal, so it's going to be dirtier than all get out. Because what I'm making this for is somebody with a UTI, or a urinary tract infection. We're putting sugar in there. Sugar is it kills off bacteria, and this is going to draw the bacteria out through the skin. And so for a little while, that bacteria is going to be sitting on the skin until we pull this off. And we want to kill it. We don't want the skin to have to deal with it. So that's why we put the sugar in it. Sugar kills bacteria. If you get a cut, a big cut on your hand or a big burn, in a lot of burn units nowadays, they use sugar. They pack the wound with sugar, and that A, keeps more bacteria from getting in, and B, keeps it kills the bacteria that's already there. It also is an absorbent, so it helps absorb a lot of the fluids and things that leak from the wound. I use it as a vet if I have a horse that cuts himself with barbed wire or anything. If I have, one of the horses gets kicked and now they've got a big cut, I will pack it with sugar. And it's safer, and you wrap it up with some vet gauze. So that's why we're putting that in there. And then we're putting in just an oil. I'm using olive oil because I get it cheap. I trade it for maple syrup. So I just put it using olive oil just to make it all a paste. And you can use any kind of oil you want as long as it's safe to put on your skin. If you don't find that it's safe to eat it, it's not safe to put on your skin. Your skin will absorb it. Now you can also add, if you want, you can add garlic. If you add garlic, this won't keep. Right now, all the things that I'm adding here, you can reuse this several times.